London is calling. London is calling as the Broncos head off to face the New York Jets. It's an away game for us. It's a home game for the Jets. Good luck to them. The 0-5 Jets face off against our Denver Broncos, 3-2, hot off that win versus the defending Super Bowl champions. Let's get your thoughts, your ideas, your predictions as we go live. Oh, I don't know. How about right about now? Welcome in, Broncos country, to the Denver Bronco Roundup podcast. Hope you set your alarm, not just for this episode, but also to get up to watch the Denver Broncos as they'll have an early game versus the New York Jets over in London. My name is Keith Brugman. We're brought to you by Rocky Mountain Sports Network. We have an amazing sponsor named Morgan Trinkets, and I've got the Rocket Man with me, man. Welcome to the show. How you doing, Rocket Man?
Doing well, Keith. Busy as can be, but excited to be on the show and talk Broncos. I mean, this is an early game, 7:30 a.m. Mountain time, start time for the Broncos. I mean, I'm going to have to get up at like 5 a.m. to get my coffee, Lion Coffee, by the way. Shout out to Lion Coffee, to get prepped for this game. But, again, Broncos next couple weeks, I mean, they got the Jets, they got the Giants. Giants looking better from last night's game, last night's victory over the Eagles. So got to be prepared for the Giants as well. But one step at a time, got to take care of business against the Jets. And there's no reason why this team can't win these games the next couple weeks.
Ooh, see, and you already got it started, man. You already got it started. Everyone's been talking whether this be a trap game for the Denver Broncos as they head off to London. And now you already hear Trevor, the Rocket Man, Salzman, talking about the New York Giants looking ahead. But you're right. I think that all of a sudden, the outcome has kind of changed and looked a little bit different. A couple of weeks ago, we were looking at the stretch thinking, oh, easy stretch. We got the Jets, we got the Giants, we got the Cowboys, we got the Texans. Now it's like, we better watch out. Don't slip up against the Jets, because then we got the Giants and maybe the Cowboys and maybe the Texans, as they all seem to be coming on a little bit hotter right now. And we don't need the Jets to start to come on hot and get their first win of the season. I'm going to get some winners in here from the posse, like Mr. Roy Osborne, gracing our presence over on Facebook, saying, hey there, guys. He says, I'm ready for Sunday, man. He's got the alarm set. He's got the Lion Coffee brew ready to go, and he's ready for the 7:30 a.m. Mountain Standard Time battle over in London that we're about to see unfold. And I think it's going to be more of a battle. Pearl's coming in and saying hello, and she'll be working. She's getting up and working early, and she's also saying welcome back, Trevor, because we missed you last Friday, buddy. The judge had to step in your absence, and it is nice to have you back. Welcome back, my friend.
I appreciate that, Miss Pearl, and excited to be back as always. Jody, though, does a great job filling in, and love having full posse, or I should say a full cast of crew, 4 horsemen together whenever we can. But shout out to Jody for being on last Friday for me and filling in.
And I think Martin's trying to get underneath the skin of Kenny Kirkpatrick if he gets in here. He says, "How about them bottom feeding New York Football Giants?" Yeah, that's a bit of a rip on Trevor. He says, "Ha ha." I think he means Kenny. He's used to Kenny being the Giants fan, there, my friend. I also want to talk about shout outs. I mean, I gave a shout out to you, gave a shout out now to Kenny. Also want to give a little shout out because today is Mr. Cortland Sutton's birthday, my friend. And, we don't always acknowledge this very often, but, hey, I said it last episode when I was on with our good friend Jody, the Judge Moncrief. I truly believe that now, though I was a doubter, I think we have a number one wide receiver in Cortland Sutton, man. He really has been impressing me this season, and he'll need to impress again this Sunday when we face off against the Jets, buddy.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, happy birthday to Cortland Sutton. Shout out to him. 30 years old today as well. It's crazy because I remember Cortland Sutton getting drafted and just, I mean, Demaryius Thomas taking him underneath his wing, and around Emmanuel Sanders. He's just been around so many greats. It's great to see Cortland Sutton step into that leadership role. I think if Cortland Sutton can say, I think he would say that DT really, provided him with leadership capabilities. Not that Cortland Sutton didn't have, he did in college too, but DT taking him under his wing, I think definitely helped shape Cortland Sutton into the wide receiver and the football player on and off the field that he is today. Cortland Sutton, I mean, just not enough things can be said about him. Grateful that he's back with the Broncos and he got that contract extension and it will be a Bronco long term. Bo Nix his favorite target. I will continue to say that. Bo Nix his favorite guy to throw the football to.
Ain't that the truth, my friend? Look at Mr. Roy, man. Me and Roy have been trying to talk a little bit in the background. We've been having a hard time getting in touch with each other with our busy schedule. You talk about how busy you were, Trevor, but he says he's going to be at that game, that Giants game, and we're going to see if we can maybe work a way to get Roy into a maybe pregame show-ish, something going on there. We've been talking about schedules in the background, Roy, so thanks for hanging with me. We're trying to work some details out. You never know what we might be able to pull off and bring you in for a little bit of a guest appearance, I guess would be the best way to put it. Trevor called the Giants bottom feeders on the last podcast he was on. Oh, yeah. Boy. Uh-oh. You might have stirred the pot. You got them angry. Look out. They're right around the corner. Patrick Wiltsey in here as well saying aloha. Coffee time game this week. That's right, my friend. Like Lion Coffee. Some of the best coffee is the best coffee. I honestly, I've been drinking coffee for I don't know how long, Trevor. Longer than I should have, more than I should have, and sometimes I don't think I necessarily ever ingest water unless it actually goes through the bean first. That being said, the best coffee around, lioncoffee.com. You need to head on over there, man. And Mr. Patrick Wiltsey, good to see you in the chat over on Facebook as well. Trevor, I guess let's just break into this breakdown. I know that one of the things we need to hit is the injury report. And, the injury report includes an injury we talked briefly about on Wednesday. We can talk a little bit more right here.
Yeah, and the injury that Keith's bringing up is Ben Powers, bicep injury. I mean, that's something that's obviously very critical right now in the season for the Broncos. I mean, Ben Powers has been, really, a solid part of this offensive line, and he's really been healthy for the most part since arriving in Denver. Obviously, there's big shoes to fill. I mean, and it seems like last year, again, it was Mike McGlinchey going down. Now this year it's Ben Powers. Thankfully, Denver hasn't had any more injuries on the offensive line, and knock on wood, they don't the rest of the season. But I mean, it's next man up. It's a next man up mentality. Obviously, Ben Powers is going to be missed. I think he's played much better since, I think, the preseason. I mean, there was times we had called him out and said, he didn't look very good. But I think as the season has gone on, I think he's really cusped well to the offense and has really improved. And he's definitely going to be missed. Matt Pert, some of these other guys are really going to have to step up on this offensive line. And I think we're going to see now, does the Broncos have the right amount of depth on their offensive line? Because that was a concern going into this season. I think we're going to get that question answered, I think, on Sunday. And if not, watch out for them possibly look out on the open market for a potential replacement for Ben Powers the rest of the season. Or let's see, I should say, until he's out. Or why he's out.
Yeah, I think that guys on alert for this game, one would have to be whoever the replacement is for Ben Powers. If he has a bad game versus the Jets, that doesn't necessarily bode well for the future as we start to match up against tougher opponents, I think, especially in the trenches. But and at that point, you might be looking at whether you need to go out there and make a trade for somebody. So that is a battle to watch within and that, you know, possibly up to 10 weeks. But at the same time, I haven't heard any IR designation as of yet. So he was listed on the injury report only. Certainly not completely out. Who else we got on the injury report, whether it be Bronco or Jet?
Jonah Ellis is ruled out for this game. Did not practice last all week, pretty much. Ribs and shoulder injury. He's going to be out in this game. So that there's been speculation Q Robinson could be called up and be in uniform on Sunday. We'll see if that happens. I've been pretty high on Q Robinson as far as an athleticism standpoint. I think he will need to earn his shot, of course, be on the field, and we'll see if he does that with Jonah Ellis being ruled out for that game. And then the next big one, Keith, Malcolm Roach. I think if the Broncos, it's 50-50 right now. It's questionable. But I think if the Broncos wanted to push it, I think Malcolm Roach could play this week. And I think that because he's been a full participant in practice the last couple of days. So I think Malcolm Roach, if need be, they can start him on Sunday and he can play. I just don't know if Denver wants to rush him out right away. I don't know. I don't think necessarily you need to on Sunday. I think it's DJ Jones, Wazirike. Those guys can step up in this game, give Malcolm Roach another week to rest and take care of business defensively. But you wonder which side of the Broncos leaning towards playing Malcolm Roach, or are they leaning towards maybe waiting another week? Full participant, though, I think that he probably does play Sunday.
You're leaning towards playing. Wow. That to me is somewhat surprising. Because I think there is the opportunity to maybe keep him out of a game like this, or want to maybe think you can keep him out of a game like this. It would be great to see Malcolm Roach be integrated into this defense and be, honestly start to find his way within the rotation, so that you do have the best of Malcolm Roach as we approach the end of the season now, getting kind of a 5-game break to this season, if you want to call being injured a break.
And then finish out the injury report. Tyler Bidet had a shoulder injury. Nick Benito had a wrist injury, and DJ Jones had a shoulder injury. But they all three were full participants in practice. They will play more than likely. So those are obviously three key players that you should keep an eye on as well. But I would expect those guys all play as well, being that they practice fully.
Full practice, especially today, full participation or full participation in the walkthrough. I would expect then at that point that you're actually, getting your opportunity to go out there. Michael Carter continues to be injured, obviously, for the Jets with a concussion, and then whatever is happening with Alan Lazard, I guess that's the other big one that I would maybe bring about. The rest of the names I'm not going to go through. I don't think anybody would even necessarily recognize the names unless you see one there for the Jets that you think is of importance there, Trevor.
No, I think everybody else is going to play. Quinnen Williams would be one that I would watch, but I think he's he's a full participant on Friday. So I expect him to play. That's big key guy on their defensive line.
Big key guy and leader for this Jets team. Honestly, I think for a team that's looking for a leader, you look at Williams. I think he ends up being that type of guy and that type of leader. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the leadership on the Jets team here in a second, but leading in the comments right now, getting back to him, I got to say hello to my good friend Jeremy Dressler, saying sup fellas and go Broncos. Absolutely, Jeremy. Want to know if you're going to be up bright and early watching this Denver Broncos football team take on the Jets in London. Roy saying he wouldn't push Malcolm Roach, and our good friend Ernie Mays jumping in saying, go Broncos country only. Hello, Keith and Trevor, and hello to you, good friend Ernie Mays. Good to have you along for the ride. Before we start getting into, I guess, the specifics of the matchup that will be this London game, one of the things that hit my radar, and I want to get your opinion on, the New York Jets held a little meeting. It was a little players-only meeting. Trevor, we talked about trap games, and I want to get your thoughts, man. If you had to go one way or the other, even if you took the New York Jets out of the equation, the all player meeting, is this, in your opinion, a more likelihood a motivator to a possibility of getting back on track and getting a win? I don't care if you're talking about an NBA Finals team. I don't care if you're talking about the NASCAR pit crew. You know what I mean? Having an all team meeting. Do you think this is good and brings you closer to success, or is this a distraction and it just proves maybe the dysfunction of your organization? Where do you lean on this, man?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the inability to close out games. Also, I mean, I think that they've just when the Jets start out, they've started out slow in every game that they've played. And I'm not saying this is supposed to be expected to be a playoff team this year by no means, but starting off 0-5 on the season, I mean, you haven't won a game. Aaron Glenn is yet to win his first game as New York Jets head coach.
Mm.
I think this is more Aaron Glenn driven than anything. Though, I mean, he's a players coach. He loves just gathering players together. He comes from that Dan Campbell coaching tree. So I do think this is more of an Aaron Glenn thing. And I think that the players will respond to Aaron Glenn. I don't think that, I don't get the perception that they've quit on Aaron Glenn at all. And it's really early in his coaching career. So I think a meeting, it could go good or bad. But I think that this is more like, hey, we know what kind of team we have. We know the players we have. We've got to start winning games, though, guys. This is the NFL. This is not participation awards. You got to go out there and win football games, or there's going to be big changes down the road. So I think this is just a meeting to bring everybody together.
But it's a player only meeting. This isn't an Aaron Glenn meeting. This is an Aaron Glenn,
No,
not unless it's orchestrated by Aaron Glenn. And
no, that's what I was. That's what I was saying. I was saying culturally, I think that Aaron Glenn's culture has rubbed off on some of these players a little bit. I'm not saying these guys
Okay.
don't have leadership capabilities, but Aaron Glenn is a players coach. He comes from that Dan Campbell coaching tree. I think he might have some sort of say like, "Hey, you guys are leaders. Step up and call a players meeting." I think it could have rubbed off on these players a little bit because do you think the Jets last season were calling player meetings? I don't think they did once. I mean, so I think Aaron Glenn, that culture that he's trying to create there, that strong
Okay.
culture, I think that that's kind of helping orchestrate this a little bit. I'm not saying he was involved necessarily, of course not, but I think his culture, bringing these guys together, is something that he really values. I think it's part of it.
I get where you're coming at now. The way he has brought about, his mindset to this Jets team. He came out and he said, "This ain't the same old Jets." Well, they're 0-5 right now. So from a record standpoint, you can't necessarily say this ain't the same old Jets, but you're right. From a mentality standpoint, I don't think last year's team had that mindset around them. It seemed like a lot of individuals playing on a team and not a team
Mm-hmm.
of players, right? A team of
Mm-hmm.
players that are willing to come together for a team meeting and say, you know what, us as players, coaches can do what coaches can do, but we're the ones who have to deliver on the field, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's up to us,
Mm-hmm.
and Martin's pointing out, he says all player meetings are only good if you have good leaders that the players respect. Do you have a team full of good leaders on an 0-5 Jets football team? I don't know if you have, the broadest base of leaders out there. You talked a little bit about Quinnen Williams. I think that's one guy, that you could maybe look to, but it does become a little bit tougher because of the stars that are on the roster are fairly young. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it's tough to turn to a Justin Fields and say, pilot this team.
Mm-hmm.
It's tough to turn to a Sauce Gardner or a Garrett Wilson and say, pilot this team as a leader.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's within them. Plus, it's the youth as well. I don't. Martin brings up a good point. I don't know. It does for me personally. Feels a little desperation at this time, man. I don't think it's against Aaron Glenn, like you said. I think this is, if anything, Aaron Glenn is in full support of something like this. I don't think they're like, "Hey, our coach has got to go," or anything like that. I think this is a call to, ship up or shape up, or ship out. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's go time for them, which
Mm-hmm.
could get a little bit scary.
Mm-hmm.
Which could get a little bit scary. All right, man. I was looking over this Jets team, man. And I know that scores and stats and everything else, and I've got them all written down here. Don't tell everything.
Mm-hmm.
I still remember as the season kicked off, though, man, and they played the Steelers in a fantastic game, a 34-32, just great opening week, fantastic game to watch, right? And I literally at that point I was like, I don't know, man. I think Justin Fields might have something here, man. I think they might have thrown away something there in Pittsburgh and Chicago, and maybe he could make a run here with Aaron Glenn with the Jets, even though they lost. But then they kind of didn't turn out well versus the Bills. They put up a 30-10 loss. They come back though against the Bucks, man, one of the best teams out there. I think most people hold high regard for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and what they're doing in the league right now. It's a 27-29 loss for the New York Jets. It's a close game with the New York Jets and between the Jets and the Buccaneers. Now, what do? Kind of like they just did with the Steelers and then kind of poop the bed with the Bills. They come back and give the Dolphins a win in a 21-27 loss that really wasn't anything close until the very end, and some gimme up points that got them close at the very end. But then once again, you look at the Cowboys, they put up points, 22, and unfortunately they just gave up a lot of points, 37. I just doesn't feel like it's a completely disaster of a team if you look at this. I mean, last couple of weeks have been tough. And that, I don't know if that also gets them all riled up. Man, you lose to the Dolphins, and then the way you lost to the Cowboys wasn't great.
Mm-hmm.
But you're playing the Bucks well, you're playing the Steelers well. The Bills are no joke. That's a tough team to play against. This is a team that I just don't want to sleep on, I guess, as I started going through just even the schedule. We can get into the stats as well because I think there's a more evenly matched team than most people realize.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, stats don't say everything. I think if you watch this team, they just get out to slow starts, and then sometimes from when I've watched them, they just get a little stagnant, and that's just on from the offensive side of the ball. And I don't feel like they feed their playmakers as much as they should. Like Breece Hall should be getting the ball more. Garrett Wilson should be getting the ball more. They don't really. But on the other side, I mean, they don't have much other than Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall. I mean, they have Mason Taylor, who's a tight end that a lot of us liked in the draft, who they end up drafting, that's starting to kind of come along a little bit. But Justin Fields doesn't have a lot of weapons out there. I'm not going to lie. So it's hard for a guy like Garrett Wilson to get open when he's constantly double covered or getting checked at the line. So it's just, I think lack of weapons for Justin Fields. I'm not trying to make excuses for Justin Fields. I think I could kind of give him a little bit of a break there. But also the Jets defense has been inconsistent too. I mean, they're constantly giving up points, it seems like. And now that can kind of feed over to the offensive side of the ball because the offense, if they are not sustaining drives, that's going to wear your defense out quicker than anything. So I'm right there with you though, Keith. Not a team to sleep on. I mean, you just seen it. I mean, this team has shown signs. The New York Jets have shown signs that we're going to come play football. We're going to come ball. We may not win all some of these close games right now, but we're working our way to get to that point. And I mean, 29-27 loss against the Buccaneers. I mean, I think that's a sign of, hey, we're going to compete. Now, 37-22 loss to the Cowboys is really competing. So this team's been up and down. They've been inconsistent. I think once they find their consistency, this is a team that I think is going to cause some teams some trouble. I think they're going to be a football team that possibly takes out some playoff teams down the line in their schedule. They may not be a playoff team this year in the New York Jets, but they're going to be a team that's going to kind of ruin other teams' party. I could see it. So this is a team that's still in a rebuild, and they're learning together with a whole new coaching staff how to win football games together. And it's very dangerous.
The one thing they're consistent at, I'll give you one thing that they're truly consistent at, And unfortunately, it's something that they need to fix. And if they fix it, Trevor, this is how they get good, and this is how they take off playoff contending teams. The New York Jets lead the league in fumbles.
Mm-hmm.
9 fumbles through 5 games. 7 fumbles lost of those 9. You're not throwing interceptions at this point. You're just fumbling the ball. And you talk about those slow starts that they got off to. It ain't all punts. It ain't all 3 and outs. It's punts. I'm sorry, it's fumbles. It's INTs. It's turning over the ball. If you just take away 9 fumbles, 7 lost fumbles over a 5-game stretch, and you're talking about games that you lose 29, 27, 34, 32. These are games that you're right back in, let alone the 21-27 loss to the Dolphins, in which they fumbled 3 times in that game. 3 times. You don't lose to the crappy old Dolphins of 2025 if you don't turn the ball over 3 times. This is the difference, man. And they start straightening things like that up. They become a much tougher team, because I started off with the stats of passing yards and rushing yards and points given up and all these other stats, and I'm like, where are we at? What are we talking about here? This looks like a decent team on paper. Why are they not able to win games? What's the hidden Easter egg in all of this? The hidden Easter egg I found is these fumbles, these turnovers that they're doing. They clean that up, man. I'm telling you, it's going to be a very tough game. Peter Johnson's in here with me saying, totally agree, Keith. I don't see the Jets game as a gimme either. Peter Johnson also saying, I think the key to this game is Denver's offense and Bo Nix getting off to a fast start, which focuses the Jets D to be one-dimensional, or O to be one-dimensional, I'm sorry. Have to get the Jets out of position where they are able to run the ball. Need to get the Jets out of the position so we're able to run the ball. Gotcha, Peter. Use that Bo Nix passing game, get them out of position, open it up, get the run game going. We'll get lots of predictions. We're almost right up on the sponsorship break, man. But I kind of went off on my rant about fumbles. If you have something to say before we hit the break here, buddy, feel free.
Yeah, I mean, I would say watch out for the Jets pass rush, and not necessarily a good way for the Jets. They're just, to me, Keith, they don't really have a lot of pass rushers. I mean, you have Quinnen Williams, but he's not a pass rusher. I mean, he's a guy that fills gaps. He can get after the quarterback, but this is the guy that's not going to put up 12, 13 sacks. And he's not expected to. I mean, this team lacks pass rushers, in my opinion, and being able to get after the quarterback. They don't have that. And I think that's something, like, you can have Sauce Gardner and whatnot, a cornerback, but if you don't have pass rushers, I mean, cornerbacks and pass rushers got to work together. And you got to be able to put pressure on the quarterback. And I think this matchup favors, Denver's offensive line.
Oops. Yeah. It very well. If from that regard, from a pass blocking perspective, I think you might be right, man. It's the rushing yards between these two teams are almost even.
Mm-hmm.
The Broncos have rushed for 703 yards. The Jets have ran for 711. So I don't see that the Broncos can necessarily just push around the Jets defensive line for rushing. But you're right, from a defensive line perspective, getting after Bo Nix, they might have that. They may have that advantage, and they should be able to take advantage of it, hopefully, this Sunday. More predictions on the other side of what's going to go on this game. But first, I want to talk about Morgan Trinkets. Morgan Trinkets is our fantastic sponsor, and they've been so for a long, long time. We appreciate you, Pearl. And they've been out there doing what they do, which is Southwest Jewelry, Southwest Pottery, estate gold at wholesale prices for over 34 years. They were once a nationwide company. Now they hang out in your backyard, northern Colorado, southern Wyoming, doing shows left, right, and otherwise. But I'm telling you what, man, don't worry if you can't make it out to the fairgrounds, to the gem show or the dog show or whatever happens to be happening at your local fairgrounds, because we got you taken care of in a couple different ways. And I want to make sure I get the right name, but I just know if you go out there and search Morgan Trinkets out there on eBay, that's right, Morgan Trinkets now has an eBay store as well. Check out Morgan Trinkets over on eBay. Pearl's been telling me how much she's been putting over there on eBay and how much she's been selling over there on eBay, and that's because they're a fantastic retailer. You can also check them out over on Etsy, Morgan Trinkets Co. That's Morgan Trinkets Co. over on Etsy. Everything over on Etsy, I know that they take all major credit cards, and all orders over $50 are shipped absolutely free. Check them out over on eBay. Check them out over on Etsy. They have silver, sterling silver, 100% sterling silver as well. Morgan Trinkets. That's Morgan Trinkets, your headquarters for Southwest Jewelry, Southwest Pottery, State Gold wholesale prices. Trevor, man, I'm looking for some treasures when we get over to London, and hopefully we'll be able to outperform these Jets. It won't be a sleeper game, but like I said, I think that people would be surprised, at least statistically, how well these Jets actually compare to our Broncos, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Now, defensive wise, that's going to be a different story because the Denver Broncos defense is some of the best out there, especially just all the way across the board, quite honestly. Whether you're talking about total rushing yards or even passing yards, we're doing pretty dang good. Yards per game and completion percentage, second in the league in completion percentage allowed, buddy. So, I mean, it's not going to be easy for the New York Jets to get it done. But if you look at what they've done so far against the teams that they've had to play, they've fared fairly comparatively to what the Denver Broncos have put on the field. Like I said, statistically speaking, just numbers alone.
Yeah, and that's the biggest difference for me, Keith. It's not even just the Jets' offense; it's just the Jets' defense is just not very good. I mean, we just talked about sacks here not too long ago, and the Jets are the third worst in the NFL in pressures, 24 on the season. I mean, and the last team in the NFL with pressures are the Carolina Panthers with 14. I mean, it's just this team. If you're the Broncos offensive line, who are you afraid of on this Jets defense getting after Bo Nix? That's why that's why I think if you're the Broncos, and this we may see this from Sean Payton, this might be the game where you kind of let things loose a little bit with Bo, and you let it and you play to your advantage, which is pass blocking and giving Bo Nix time. I don't see a reason why Bo Nix can't have plenty of time in the pocket to make accurate throws and really maybe it might, and it could be possibly this could be Bo Nix's best game of the season against the Jets. How much time he should have in the pocket and be able to scramble. I mean, I don't see why if he struggles against this Jets defense and he can't have one of the best games of this season, then there might be some concern because I just this Jets defense is just big gap for me. That's the biggest gap. Yes, you got to worry about the Jets offense. They're not even complete, but their defense really can't seem to stop opposing teams' offenses. That's also been one of their biggest hurdles.
Well, yeah, I mean, truth be told, if you watch that Cowboys game, putting Dak Prescott and Javonte Williams putting up 37 points in the not too recent past, just this last Sunday, the Jets have a lot to work on. It's not good that you're giving up 27 points to the Dolphins with the Dolphins team that's been lucky to get off the ground at all offensively this year. I mean, we haven't been talking about Devon Achane and Tyreek Hill, going wild down in Miami, and they're losing from a defensive perspective. No. This is a team that got walked over for all intents and purposes with 27 points put up by the Miami Dolphins. So you're right, 30 points to the Bills, 34 points to the Steelers, 29 points to the Bucks. I mean, there is a track record for points to be had on this Sunday versus the New York Jets. We already saw some predictions in here, and that kind of alluded to that fact. And Ernie is usually a pretty big Broncos fan, so I thought he was just leaning his heavy Bronco favorite. But the more I look across this, the more you may be right. I think it will be down to this, though. The Broncos have taken away 4 fumbles so far this year. I think that you need to make sure that that's almost a focus. This is something that the Jets obviously have an issue with. There's no reason that you can't exploit turnovers, and fumbles should be part of that. I think if you're not getting a few turnovers in this game, then it ends up being closer. Again, a 29-27, matchup versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, or a 34-32 versus the Pittsburgh Steelers, could come closer to fruition if you're not careful and you're not, winning the turnover battle is one of the key points in this game. And I think that maybe we'll do some key points before we get out of here, bud.
Well, and also, I mean, you just came off a huge victory against the Eagles. If you can't take care of business against the Jets, not saying that game's a total wash from the Eagles' standpoint. Like, you just proved to teams around the NFL and people around the NFL that, like, hey, we're serious. We can beat Super Bowl caliber teams, and you lose against the Jets the next week. It leaves a bad taste in your mouth, Keith. I'm not going to lie. I mean, you've got to be able to take advantage of rebuilding teams. The Jets are a rebuilding team. Yes, they've got players on that team that they're trying to build around, but they're far from a complete team, and that's been expected. Being there, England's only been there for 5 games, so this is why I like the Broncos. I mean, they just cannot afford to drop this game. You cannot afford to overlook the Jets, no, but you got to walk in there with some confidence. Like, hey, if we want to put up 35 points against the Jets defense, let's go do it. Let's go get a big road victory, and be able to take care of business. Again, if you can't, it's concerning.
Okay. Tell me the difference between this week 6 matchup now and the week 1 matchup
against Tennessee Titans
versus the Tennessee Titans.
Well,
should we have putting up 35 points versus the obviously rebuilding Tennessee Titans? We did well defensively, held them to 12 points. That's kind of what we expect from our Denver Broncos defense. But from an offensive perspective, what's the difference? And, is the expectation the same, and what has changed?
I think the expectations, has grown. I mean, this team has grown since week 1. That's the biggest takeaway for me. It's like, then you kind of had an excuse. It was week 1. You're kind of starting to knock the rust off a little bit. Bo Nix is trying to do too much. If Bo Nix is still trying to do too much in week 6, there's an issue. If you have the same issues against as you had against the Tennessee Titans, against the Jets on Sunday, there's an issue because you just took care of business against the Eagles last week, and it seemed like this offense and defense. Obviously, the defense has been pretty solid throughout the season, but the offense seems like they're finally taking steps in the right direction. So, for me, the biggest difference is there's no more rust to knock off. You've played yourself into the season a little bit more. There's been time to see growth, and so week 1 against Tennessee Titans, there's a little bit of expectation. There might be, might not be the Broncos' most perfect game out there, but if you're able to get a win, however you got it week 1, you would take that, because then going forward, you had time to grow from an offensive standpoint, and we're starting to see that growth from this Broncos offense.
All right. Biggest worries, biggest concerns, what you're looking out for as you match up against the Jets, whether it be personnel or plays, matchups, what have you. What are you getting into as we start to roll through this episode? We'll make sure we get into everything here, my friend. Who are you watching out for,
For me, it's Justin Fields. I think it's got to start there. This is a guy that last year against the Broncos defense, he was kind of, had a pretty good game last year when he was in Pittsburgh. So this is a guy that you got to watch. He's a very mobile quarterback, loves to run around, very athletic. Don't let him get going. Not incredibly accurate from a deep ball perspective, but he loves to make plays with his legs. You got to be able to contain him in the pocket. Got to be able to put pressure on him. I think that's the biggest thing. Don't let him get comfortable in the pocket. Because from the Jets' offensive standpoint, it starts with Justin Fields. Can Justin Fields put up points and be like Justin Fields week one, like the Jets had week one. Because if it's that kind of Justin Fields, I think the Broncos are in for a long day. So to be able to contain Justin Fields in the pocket is going to be huge. I mean, you can't just worry about covering Garrett Wilson and Mason Taylor down the field. You got to have a spy on Justin Fields. You got to be able to contain him in the pocket. Can't let him get outside and make plays with his feet.
That's funny for a guy who's taken a lot of sacks, and you were talking about that a little bit earlier, that you're also worrying about the containment on him. Martin was talking a little bit earlier about the difference between the Titans matchup in week one and this Denver Broncos team, and what we now see from this Denver Broncos team as we head into an 0-5 rebuilding Jets matchup. Rebuilding Jets team in this matchup. For him, it's the run. He says, I think we're better at rushing the ball now, and we're making the run more of a priority. Just for me, getting back to matchups, at least on the Jets side of the ball, that I'm concerned about. You kind of alluded to it a little bit, man. It's that Mason Taylor. It's that tight end that we were looking at, this offseason, maybe dreaming about a little bit. Rookie tight end coming to the Denver Broncos. We went a different route with Evan Ingram. But right now, Mason Taylor has more yards than Marvin Mims. I'm just saying. And he's pretty close to our number 2 wide receiver in Troy Franklin. He has 175 yards on the season from the tight end position. Just in comparison, Marvin Mims has 119, Troy Franklin 231. So blowing away Marvin Mims and catching up to a Troy Franklin type of number. That's the type of weapon that you have on the Jets side of the ball, and a type of weapon that Justin Fields likes to go to. Tight end is probably one of the best friends of a quarterback, especially in my opinion, especially that a mobile style quarterback like a Justin Fields. You're always looking for that guy out in the flat, or that guy on that button hook that you can maybe dump off to and get the 5 to 7 yards. Look out for Mason Taylor. That's a guy I'm going to be watching out for as far as a matchup in this one. If you got another one, because I know I do.
Oh,
okay.
For me, it's Breece Hall. I mean, to be able to contain Breece Hall, I mean, I know I'm talking about two guys that run the football a lot, and Justin Fields and Breece Hall, but and two mobile guys, you should say. But Breece Hall, I mean, the Broncos just in the past, there's been signs of this defense giving up a chunk of yards to running backs. I mean, go back to Jonathan Taylor when they played the Colts. I mean, that's I know it's Jonathan Taylor. I get that, but the Broncos defense have a past of giving up big games to running backs. So got to be able to stop the run. And I think if you're the Jets, Keith and Posse, I think if you're talking from a game plan perspective, I think you want to run the football. I think you want to kind of relax the Broncos edge rushers, keep them off their toes a little bit. I think if the Jets are going to win this game against the Denver Broncos, they're going to have to establish the run. I can't imagine Justin Fields, back to pass about 30 plus times in this game. You got to be able to establish the run with Breece Hall if you want to beat the Denver Broncos, or at least have any chance of beating the Denver Broncos. So I think Breece Hall is a guy that, I mean, he can turn it up whenever he wants. And Braylon Allen, who was their backup, he was sharing carries with, is out as well. So now Breece Hall is probably going to get most of the carries. He's a guy to watch in this game, and he's a guy that I think the Broncos are going to have to really hone in on containing and letting Justin Fields drop back to pass and make mistakes and try to get some turnovers.
I think you're absolutely right. What I saw him able to do over multiple games, especially right up through the middle, and if Breece Hall gets a lane right up the middle with a little bit of speed, your linebacker better be in position, because if not, you're quickly coming up on that safety that needs to make a play, and you're probably already 8 yards down the field at that time. You can't let Breece Hall get started. Breece Hall is going to be a big one. Trevor, who's our leading wide receiver in yards?
Courtland Sutton.
Yes. Courtland Sutton with 365 yards and 5 touchdowns. The Jets have a guy of their own, though. Guy over there named Garrett Wilson, who has more yards, 382 yards. And this is why I was talking about how these teams compare. 382 yards, 4 touchdowns from one Garrett Wilson. How many touchdowns has Justin Field thrown for? 3. So I don't know who actually threw the 4th touchdown to Garrett Wilson. But 3 of the 4, or all 3 of Justin Fields' touchdown passes have went to Garrett Wilson. So,
but real quick, Keith, I was
yes, sir.
Tyler Taylor threw him that other touchdown
Oh,
pass.
there you go.
Justin
There you go.
Fields, yeah, he missed the game.
That's right. That's right. I forgot about the Justin Fields missing game. That being said, though, man, I mean, this guy is obviously a target. More yards than Courtland Sutton. Only 1 touchdown behind Courtland Sutton, as Courtland has hauled in 5 touchdowns. This is a guy that yet, I mean, literally, if you start looking at who's number 2 as far as, well, obviously it goes to Mason Taylor, and then it really falls off after that. It really falls off. It like just off the deep end. Honestly, Breece Hall is your next guy you have to worry about. He's the guy that you have to worry about as your number 3 wide receiver within this Jets offense. But 382 yards and 4 touchdowns, you got to be locked in. PS2 and that matchup on Garrett Wilson will be one to watch in London. It's one that I'll be watching for. It's going to be epic because that's their number 1. It's their number 1 and probably one of the best in the league.
Oh, and what a nice nucleus to build that offense around too, Keith. Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, and now Mason Taylor. I mean, that's a pretty good amount of package of players to build an offense around. So that's something to look forward to in the future as well. But I just thought about that right now. I mean, just how great those playmakers could be if they reach their potential. But I mean,
they just need a defense.
yeah. But you're right about the drop off at wide receiver. I mean, the Broncos are going to be facing former Denver Bronco and Josh Reynolds as well. That's the kind of other wide receiver you're talking about with Allen Lazard not playing. That you're talking about the Broncos having to kind of adjust to. It's really Garrett Wilson. I mean, it's Garrett Wilson, Mason Taylor, and Breece Hall. It really, when we say it really is just them 3 for the most part.
Yeah. It's tough. They have a little bit of mix in, obviously, with a receiver here, tight end there on their roster. But as far as formidable opponents or players that we need to really key in on, it's those 3. And then, I think that the other big part that you were talking about, when you only have that much, you have a mobile quarterback in Justin Fields, you just can't let him get going either. Denver Broncos have done fantastic this year against quarterbacks. I mean, you just look at what Jalen Hurts is, for all intents and purposes, or can be, for all intents and purposes, a very mobile quarterback and one that you don't get a whole lot of sacks on. Not say the Broncos, as they ripped down, 6, I think it was, 6 sacks against the Philadelphia Eagles. So, I mean, Justin Fields will have his work cut out for him, man. He's been giving up a lot of sacks. He's been hanging in the pocket, looking like another former Steeler and Russell Wilson more than he did look like his old self in Justin Fields when he was in Chicago and they couldn't get him to stop running around. He's been taking a lot of sacks, so it'll be interesting to see what type of Justin Fields we get out there. I know what type of Karen we get. The best Karen. Good to see you, Karen, coming in over on YouTube saying hello all, and it's good to see you, Karen. I know that you're coming in a little bit late, but we appreciate you a ton no matter what time you get in here, all right? Trevor, what else we need to hit, man? We're almost, at the 10-minute mark, and we'll start be talking about predictions and the like, but love to get some, if you have any more, kind of breakdown on this game that you need to get into. Now's the time, my friend, as well as anybody in the posse. I see my good friend Michael Ronquillo jumped in. I'll be talking about him in just a moment.
Yeah, I mean, for me, when we I'll flip over to the Broncos side of the ball, the offense side of the ball for the Broncos. I mean, we just said Courtland Sutton, it leads this league, leads this team in targets and yards and whatnot. But man, at some point in time, you've got to start seeing more from Troy Franklin, from Pat Bryant, from Evan Ingram. We started seeing something last week from him. We'll see if that continues this week. But just got to start, Marvin Mims, got to start seeing more from these guys. Needed more of a supporting cast. Bo Nix can't just go with Courtland Sutton and J.K. Dobbins into the playoffs. I mean, if you want to be a playoff caliber team, you need to prove it. You need these playmakers that you've invested into, you've drafted. You've got to start seeing more from them. And that I think this game points it more towards anything, Keith, because you more than likely Sauce Gardner's going to be all over Courtland Sutton. I would be a little surprised if he wasn't. The Jets secondary's not the greatest. And then you have Michael Carter, the second, that's going to be out as well. I mean, that's their nickelback, and then their nickel corner. So um, I think this is a game where you're going to have to see some more from other guys, other targets for Bo Nix. Is going to have to step up, whether that's Evan Ingram, Marvin Mims, Pat Bryant, you name it, Troy Franklin. It'd be nice to see another big game from Troy Franklin. You've got to see it. It can't just be Cortland Sutton in this game, in my opinion. And I think Bo Nix needs to spread the ball around as well. I mean, if you're going to find a time to spread the ball around, I think this is the game to do it.
I think you're absolutely right. At first, I came into this game and I'm like, I just want to see J.K. Dobbins go off, man. I just want to see J.K. Dobbins be able to maybe run within this particular game. Maybe it was because it was an away game and it was London. Maybe it's because I just got distracted by Michael Ronquillo and his 100 stars that he's dropping this evening. Thank you, Michael Ronquillo, getting the party started and probably party ended as far as the stars are concerned, but we appreciate you a ton. Big time supporter of the show. Comes in and says, good evening, Keith and Trevor and Gobo Broncos, giving us the blue and orange hearts, the mile high salute. Also letting us know Jermaine Johnson is returning to the New York Jets defense as well. So something to watch out for as we tee off against them. They'll need all the help they can get, man, because I agree, man. I think this is a game that it is a Bo Nix type of game. And I hope it is. And I hope it is a game like you were talking about where we can see, as much as I love Cortland Sutton, again, happy birthday, Cortland Sutton, happy 30th, as Trevor pointed out, big 3-0 for our good number 14, Cortland Sutton. But that being said, man, I'd like to see a little bit better distribution and some more targets get involved. Pat Bryant was on the field a lot in the 22 tape that I saw, but it was for his blocking ability. Pay the man and get him some passes in his direction. We do got to figure out what Marvin Mims is. According to our good friend the judge, that's our joker because he doesn't necessarily play the role of a traditional wide receiver. He's all over the place doing all different types of things, including being our returner. But still, even with that, let's get a little bit more Troy Franklin in there. That would be fantastic. It would be nice if Trent Sherfield would have pulled in a touchdown in this last game, just as an example. But yeah, I think there's an opportunity here for Bo Nix and this receiving core to really show up and show out. Even if you do have a Sauce Gardner that's probably going to be really handsy with Cortland Sutton all game long.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and I think this can be a J.K. Dobbins game too, because I think J.K. Dobbins, one of the great things about J.K. Dobbins, he can also get involved in the passing game. And so, I mean, watch out for screens as well. I think I wouldn't be surprised if J.K. Dobbins put another 70, 80 yards on the ground and was involved in the passing game. I think that this Jets defense, yes, they're better against the run than they are against the pass, but doesn't mean that you can't run them at all. I mean, you were able to run and do whatever you could against the Eagles. I mean, there's no reason you couldn't be able to do that against the Jets and be able to have success. So I think this can be a J.K. Dobbins game too. I just think that if you're going to have a game where you're going to just start getting other guys going, which I think is important, can't lose track of trying to win the football game. That comes first and foremost, but got to start getting other guys going. It can't just be one guy the whole time. Bo Nix needs a multiple amount of playmakers around him. If this team's got a great chance at possibly going, making a deep playoff run this year, they're going to have to get more guys involved at some point in time. And what better time than doing it now against 0-5 Jets? The secondary has some injuries to it.
All right, everybody get your game predictions in. I'll scroll back up and see if I can get Ernie's and the like. I just want to say this. These are 3 matchups that I'm looking at. Last week, I went in and I said with 3 keys to the game. I'm gonna go 3 matchups of the game this time. Mm-hmm. Last week it was run. We need to stop the run in Saquon Barkley. Check, please. Yes, like that one. 2, run. Get the run game going like a J.K. Dobbins. I think we did pretty well on that one. And my last one was 60 minutes of football. I knew that we would have to play 60 minutes of football in order to beat in order for the Denver Broncos to beat the Philadelphia Eagles. And boy, it took every second of it, man, as we saw Hail Mary at the very end in order to walk away with a victory that fell harmlessly to the ground. I'm going to go 3 matchups, man. Sauce Gardner versus Cortland Sutton. Now, it's not the matchup that I'm necessarily looking at. We just keyed on it, Trevor, It's what happens off of that matchup. If that's all locked up, do we get to other receivers involved? It'll be a lot will be based on that matchup and how that matchup goes. But that Sauce Gardner, Cortland Sutton matchup, I think that's going to be a big one. I'm going to flip right over to the other side with a PS2 and Garrett Wilson one. I talked about it big in this one. Garrett Wilson, PS2. I think that's going to be a one of the biggest, the more epic battle between wide receiver and cornerback when we look at these two that I've just mentioned right here. Last one, man. Mason Taylor, Alex Singleton. Got to point that out, man. If you're talking about the guy that's already rang up 175 yards, is by far one of the biggest threats on this Jets team, and he's a guy that likes to go over the middle, and they like to get that matchup on a linebacker. I think that's going to be a big one for the Denver Broncos to walk away with a victory. Do you have matchups or keys or anything like that before we hit the score predictions and we get our we should get on a good schedule and get our behinds to bed so that we can be up early on Sunday, my friend.
Yeah, for me, I mean, Breece Hall versus the Broncos defensive line. I think that's got to be a matchup in this game. I think that Zach Allen, DJ Jones. I mean, if we'll see if Malcolm Roach is back in this game or not. I think he will be, but I'm not sure. I mean, full participant last 2 days shows and tells me that there's a good chance he plays, but we shall see. But I think that if you're the Broncos defensive line, what better way to take the Jets offense out of the game early than stopping Breece Hall? Do not like Breece Hall get going. We talked about Justin Fields' mobility, but Breece Hall really, I mean, you start getting that run game going, suddenly you're starting to see this passing game from the New York Jets starting to open up a little bit. So Breece Hall versus Broncos defensive line is a matchup that I'm watching in this one as well. And I'll give you one on the defense side of the ball as well, Keith. I'm going to go let's see. I'm going to go Brandon Stevens if he plays for them. And then I'm gonna say Troy Franklin. And I'm gonna say that because I challenged Troy Franklin. I mean, we've seen it. We've seen the flashes from Troy Franklin. I've said it with Troy Franklin a long time now. He is next to Cortland Sutton. He is the wide receiver that has the most upside on this team. We've seen it already a little bit, glimpses of it. Let's start seeing a little bit more. Let's start seeing the consistency from Troy Franklin. He has that connection with Bo Nix dating back to Oregon. Let's start seeing this transpire. So that's the matchup I'm going to be watching. Any other Jets corner than Sauce Gardner against his Broncos wide receiver, but specifically Troy Franklin, Brandon Stevens. That's a matchup I'm going to be watching. I want somebody else other than Cortland Sutton to get involved in this offense and hopefully have a big game.
All right, last one before we get the predictions real quick, and we got a few lined up here. By the way, Peter's saying don't talk to me about sleep schedule. It's a midnight kickoff for him where he's at. So, my goodness, man, that's just to stay awake, and hopefully you can stay awake to watch the entirety, man. Hopefully you got your DVR set. Trevor, Nick Bonito over under 2.5 sacks in this game.
Ooh, I'll go under. I think he'll get 2.
Okay. I don't know what you get for matching it. I'm calling 2.5 sacks in this game. I think that's about where he ends up, right at 2.5 sacks. I don't know. I don't know what you do. I say it over under, but I think that's exactly where he's at. You can get a half a sack.
Yeah,
it's not like I'm saying over under 19.5 points in this game. You know, it's like so. I think he comes in right at 2.5. Need more. Pat Bryant says, Mr. Michael Ronquillo, and not just a blocking Pat Bryant. He's also saying, check this out, man. A little birthday celebration, hopefully, for Michael Ronquillo. He says, the Broncos play on my birthday, Sunday, October 12th. Well, happy early birthday, man, because I obviously won't be there wishing you happy birthday to kick off October 12th, my friend. Maybe I'll see you in the post-game. Maybe I won't. I know these guys will be doing a post-game podcast. I'm going to be actually on the road, so you might be without me. I'm going to try to be there, though. We'll see what we get done and see what that schedule looks like. I think we need to get all that wrapped up as well. Predictions. I'm going to scroll all the way back up here because I did see my Ernie Mays prediction up here at the very top, and it's the one that I was like, ooh, maybe I think Ernie Mays is just really high on the Broncos, but he comes in with the 33-10. And when we start talking about a Bills 30-10 victory over the New York Jets, might not be that far off as far as I'm concerned. I don't know if that's Roy Osborne's prediction. He says I saw 28-17, Ernie. So maybe that might be his prediction. I'm going to scroll back down here though. For Karen, she's going with a 27-13 Denver Broncos win, and Michael Ronquillo likes it at about 35-10. Second posse member who's coming in here with a 10 points for the Jets, and even higher, going 35 for the Denver Broncos in this one. He also loved this, man. I have Nick Bonito with 4 sacks against the New York Jets, man. Blowing away my 2.5 that I was right trying to hit dead on the nail, and certainly the under that you had predicted for one Nick Bonito. It could be an afternoon. It could be an afternoon or a morning for. I'm so used to saying that. It could be a morning for Nick Bonito. Afternoon for him, I guess. And Peter Johnson coming in, 27 for our Denver Broncos, 27 points, and 13 for the New York Jets. We walk away with a victory as far as Peter is concerned as well. Trevor, method to your madness. How did you come up with your prediction? What do you got for my friend?
Yeah, I mean, I called it last week. I said Broncos. There's no reason why they can't win these next 2 weeks. These are teams that, I mean, and the Jets that are rebuilding. They're trying to figure themselves out a little bit, and even the Giants. I mean, yes, you have Jackson Dart. I get that, but I mean, are they going to be a playoff team this year? We'll see. I mean, we'll see. You're missing your best wide receiver, Malik Neighbors. I mean, that's not his fault. It's his injuries. But the thing is, I think it's going to take more than a year to figure everything out. And that's my whole point to this with the Jets and Giants is I think it's going to take them a little bit of time to be playoff contenders again. And I think it's due to respect with their divisions as well. The Jets got to deal with Buffalo. I mean, the Giants, they got to deal with the Commanders, the Cowboys. I mean, they're just there's a lot of competition in those divisions. So I think these are 2 teams that are growing and they have some things there. I think it's just going to take a little bit of time for them to get there. That being said, I think the Denver Broncos are there. I think they are there in this game, and it's 28-17 victory for the Denver Broncos on the road. International, of course, internationally on the road, I should say. So I think this is a game the Broncos, though, I mean, they control it. I think for the most part, I think that 17 points that I just named that the Jets get, some of that's going to be garbage time. I really believe that. I mean, that's just something this Jets team, they seem like they get. That's why you can't always look at the stats because the stats aren't going to tell you garbage time. I mean, there's some metrics out there that you can kind of divide that up a little bit, with and tell. But just your point, not every stat is going to tell you that. So 28-17 Broncos victory, huge victory for the Broncos to get out with the win. And I think they're in control for most of this game and still remain hot getting a victory.
Yeah, I mean, all signs point to a victory for the Denver Broncos. All signs point to the fact that they should not sleep on this game. You put in the preparation. Sean Payton's talked about it all week. This is not a field trip. This is not a vacation. He said this has been more on point than it was even last week when they were in New York, just because of the travel schedule. They were like, he's like, those guys are upstairs to the room, downstairs to meetings, out to practice, back to their rooms. He's got them locked in. So all signs point towards a victory, and I think they walk away with this victory. The method to my madness: week 1, we scored 20 points. Week 2, 28. Week 3, 20 points. Week 4, 28. Week 5, 21 points. Almost went 20 points to keep the rhythm going. I think it sounds like it's another 28-point week just to keep the sequence going. 28 points for my Denver Broncos. The one thing that I was looking at for this this Jets team, because no, not a Steelers team. It was the first week matchup that they had versus the Jets that threw me off. You throw out the Bills game, right, where they only scored 10 points. You have a Jets team that scored 32, 27, 21, 22. I'm going to say it's a 28-21 victory for the Denver Broncos, but I think you're right. If you look at the way that a lot of these games have went down, I pointed out the fumbles, but you're right, man. The way that they were allowed to get back into games, at least from a point standpoint, and make it look like it was a better matchup than it actually was. The Jets have a tendency to do that so far this year. A lot of these games were not close. Like I said, the Dolphins game was a great example of that, how they were out of this game early and what they were able to put on the board at the very end meant nothing, especially the last touchdown. I mean, if this was a 14-27 victory, we'd be like, ooh, Jets are even worse. But they got one extra touchdown versus the Dolphins. Fantastic. Anyway, 28-21, that's my prediction for this one. I expect Bo Nix to have a big game in this one. Bo Nix and his wife Izzy are expecting their first child together after he posted it on social media today, says Mr. Michael Ronquillo. So lots of congratulations are going around for the Denver Broncos. Congratulations to Cortland Sutton on his 30th birthday, and congratulations to Bo Nix and his wife for his wife on their announcement of their upcoming child. So that's pretty cool as well. Trevor, anything before we get out of here, man, other than the fact that I didn't say this enough, and I got to say it right now. YouTube, Facebook, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, we're all over the place. We appreciate every like, every share, every subscribe. If you can do anything to rally other Broncos fans around to checking out the Denver Bronco Roundup podcast, we appreciate it. We go live right now every Wednesday, every Friday, 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. We go live after every single game. And then don't forget the Morning Juice with me and Kenny Kirkpatrick. That's 7 a.m. on Monday, Mountain Standard Time. We talk about the entire NFL. But that being said, Trevor, please, any last things before we do get out of here?
Yeah, just a huge shout out to our fans. I mean, everybody being supportive. We really appreciate it. I mean, can't say that enough. How much we appreciate you guys. And yeah, I mean, please. I mean, we want more posse members to be able to talk football with. We love bringing our posse on as guests as well. We've had plenty of them in the past. So please do. I mean, like, share, subscribe. It just really means a lot to us. It means you appreciate our hard work and in the comments and everything like that. Just it's a huge family here, the DBR. And then, again, Keith and and Kenny do a great job on the Morning Juice as well. So, I mean, just really encourage it. And I don't encourage a lot of things unless it's true. So please like and subscribe, as Keith says. But we appreciate everybody out there. Hope everybody has a great weekend. Be safe out there and be up bright and early on Sunday morning for your Denver Broncos. I will say it. I think this is a team that if you're serious about being playoff contenders, you've got to be able to take care of business against teams like this. And same thing with the Giants. And if you go 0-2 or 1-1, I don't think you took advantage of your schedule, good enough. So, got to win these next 2 weeks, in my opinion. Must wins. Can't overlook these teams either. Got to take this serious. Sean Payton's clearly taking this serious as well, and I think the players are as well. And hopefully everybody sees a Denver Bronco victory on Sunday. But hope everybody has a great weekend. Take care. Be safe out there. And as always, go Broncos.
My high salute to you, my friend. Fantastic episode, man. As Trevor's looking to take New York. He's taking New York. He's taking the Jets. He's also looking forward to the Giants. Take these next 2 games. Take care of your schedule. Do what you need to do. It all starts this Sunday. Make sure you set your alarm bright and early so you don't miss that Denver Broncos game. And then you won't want to miss the post-game reaction that we'll have all dialed up as well. Can't wait. If nothing else, to hear it and listen back to it. That's why I have my Apple podcast. I'm an Apple podcast guy. That's where I check out the Denver Bronco Roundup podcast. But we do got to get out of here, man. Broncos, go out there. Take care of business in London. Do what you need to do. It all lines up in your favor. Don't get caught up in a sleeper. Don't let that team meeting that the Jets have brought together motivate them to do anything other than lose to our Denver Broncos over there in London. Keep it going, Broncos. We look to go to 4-2, but we're going to get out of here like we always do. Keep your boots in the stirrups, guns in the holsters, and, of course, the Denver Broncos in your heart. Until next time, we're going to get out of here. Good night, everybody. Have a great weekend.